Hello, welcome to this week's headlines. I'm Lee Chwi, Lynn. Here are the highlights. Okay, minor white lie. This week's headlines is actually all highlights because we're doing an end-of-the-month roundup of all the stories that have been going viral on your various feeds. Today, it's about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Malaysian headlines. Let's kick things off with the ugly so we have some space to move upwards. Drink your own pee, kids! An image of a letter of complaint surfaced recently, purportedly railing against a senior teacher at a primary school in Sungai Petani, Kedah, who told non-Muslim students there to not drink water in class or in sight of their Muslim schoolmates, but to do it in the restrooms. Not only that, but if they don't have water to drink in the restrooms, they can drink the tap water or their own urine. Tajul Urus Mat Zain, a state assemblyman for Tanjung Dawai, where the school is located and who is coincidentally also the Kedah State Councillor in charge of education, said the teacher was merely reminding Muslim students of their religious obligation to fast during Ramadan and for non-Muslim students to avoid drinking in front of their fasting friends. He also said the line of "drink your own urine" was a joke. It's one, however, that Deputy Education Minister P. Kamalanathan has said is in bad taste. Okay, jokes aside, can we just talk a little bit about how irresponsible a joke like that is for both Muslim and non-Muslim students alike? Because you know what? It teaches non-Muslim students that it's okay for an adult in a position of power to say humiliating things under the guise of religion, and it teaches Muslim students the same thing. It's harmful for everyone in all sorts of different ways, even if nobody ends up drinking their own pee. On another story about children, and one that is just as terrible, Harith Iskandar discovered pictures of his children on a local porn site. Pictures of his 3-year-old son, along with pictures of other children, were published on a child pornography website believed to be from Malaysia. He, of course, raised the issue with the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, and subsequently Communication and Multimedia Minister Ahmad Shabri Cheek pledged to get the culprits responsible. The site has since been shut down. But it does highlight the ongoing lack of laws to protect our children against child sex and child pornography. If you are not aware of the issue, I suggest you read up, because you know what? If you have children, the law does not sufficiently protect them. And these are issues recently raised by the Nur Fitri case as well. Harith Iskandar was made aware of this through Google Alerts. But what about other non-famous Malaysians posting photos up of their children on social media? Who can monitor that? Who's going to help us feel safe? And on that note, okay, onwards and upwards to the bad. Moving on to the issue of the policing of how women dress. This was of course kicked off by Farah Ann, who won a gold medal in the Singapore SEA Games 2015, but rather than being roundly celebrated for this, instead the 21-year-old Muslim received criticism for not covering up. Islamist group Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia, for instance, has applauded the person who started the snowball of criticism against our champion gymnast for wearing a leotard that showed off, and I quote, her vagina shape during the SEA Games, adding that such haram sports would be barred under a caliphate, which is perhaps one of the reasons why we are not under the rule of one. The local chapter of the international hardline Islamist group also told the authorities to punish Muslim men and women who do not cover their awrat in sports, even in events such as swimming, saying it was a religious obligation to do so. Thankfully, on the flip side, you have Youth and Sports Minister Khairi Jamaluddin saying, in gymnastics, Farah wowed the judges and brought home gold. In her deeds, only the Almighty judges her, not you. Leave our athletes alone. Following hot on the heels of this are sarung and towelgate respectively, showing that you don't have to be a champion gymnast to get told what to wear, as one woman was asked to don a sarung around her outfit to make herself decent for a photo for JPJ, which was only from the chest up. You can't tell, but I'm actually wearing a sarung as well. BFM's like that too. And another was asked to wear a towel around her shorts before being allowed into a hospital. This naturally raises issues about the policing of how women are expected to present themselves in a supposedly secular state such as ours. Dress codes exist for a reason, yes, but in both these cases, the authorities in question admitted that they were overzealous. I think the larger question here is, where did they think they gained that moral authority from in the first place? And how do you address that culture and entitlement? Perhaps, just saying by taking an example from our good story. So ending on a high note, here is the good of the lot. We made it, you guys! We made it to the good! A Facebook post went viral recently from lawyer Azhar Ad Harun, who found himself unable to stomach the horrible demands on non-Muslims not to eat or drink in front of Muslims during the fasting month of Ramadan. In the post, Azhar questioned why non-Malays had to adjust their life to facilitate Malays and why many Muslims in the country seem to be demanding to be respected just because they're fasting, adding that respect has to be mutual between two parties. And it's posts like that, I think, that for many, including myself, gives us hope that mutual respect can in fact be attained, and not just respect that's been circumscribed and prescribed by some sort of assumed moral authority, but one that's been earned by actually reaching out and trying to understand one another. And on that note and sentiment, happy Ramadan, everyone. 1 month dedicated to kindness and good deeds and reflection can really only be one to celebrate by one and all, Muslim or otherwise. Thank you very much for watching. That's it from me. See you next week.